At the outset, I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dearest Lord Bhagavan Baba. Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Prashanti Nilayam. Last time, I broke off at the point where Sita had just handed over a shining jewel she was wearing on her head, Chudamani as it is called. This jewel she handed over to Hanuman. Today I shall pick up from that point. Receiving the jewel in his palms most respectfully, Hanuman then reverentially went round Sita in a clockwise direction, bowed to her, and prepared to leave. Bidding goodbye to Hanuman, Sita said, Rama knows the jewel I have given to you very well. It would therefore serve as proof of our meeting. Don't forget to tell Rama that this jewel was given to me at the time of my marriage by my mother in the presence of Emperor Dasaratha. That would further confirm the fact that you actually talked to me. Brave Hanuman, you alone can initiate my reunion with Rama. By the way, a thought just occurred to me. You have exerted yourself so much. So, why don't you consider taking a day's rest before embarking on your return journey? I am concerned that you must have sufficient strength for going back across the vast ocean. In my opinion, a bit of rest would do you a lot of good. However, I leave that decision to you. Hanuman replied gently, Most respected lady, the sooner I return, the sooner you would be reunited with Rama. I therefore beg of you not to seek to delay my departure. Having said that, Hanuman then prepared to leave Ashokavana and began to reflect on what his next move ought to be. In the process, he said to himself, No doubt I have achieved the main purpose of my mission, but maybe there is something more I could do. It is said that there are 4 ways of dealing with an adversary. The first is the path of negotiation. The second is buying the enemy over via suitable financial inducement. The third is sowing seeds of dissent in his country and weakening him, while the last is to punish him. The first 3 options do not look meaningful in the present case. Tangling with the enemy and assessing his strength would be useful information for my master Sugriva. And so, now the question becomes, what is the best way of having a skirmish? Whatever it be, it should bring me face to face with Ravana, because a direct assessment of Ravana and his strength would be vital in planning the invasion of Lanka, which is now inevitable. Right now, this wonderful grove I now am in appears to be one of the showpieces of Ravana's Lanka. So, why don't I cause some havoc here? That is sure to infuriate that wretched monster and lead to some kind of a confrontation. Hopefully, I can thereafter manipulate the situation to have a face-to-face meeting with Ravana and make a direct personal assessment of his power and might. Having decided on his next move, Hanuman wasted no time. Quickly and with surgical efficiency, he destroyed large sections of Ashokavana, striking terror not only among the birds and animals that lived there, but also the many Rakshasis detailed to guard Sita. Panic-stricken by the sight of a monkey of immense and unimaginable size running amok, the ogresses asked Sita, "O gentle lady, who is that huge monkey that was earlier talking to you in a strange language? Don't be afraid that we would harm you in any way. The fact of the matter is that we are petrified by this strange creature that you seem to know something about. What did that monkey say to you, and what reply did you give?" Becoming cautious, Sita replied, "I am surprised that you seem to believe that I know something about this strange visitor. You ogresses have the remarkable ability to change your form at will that we humans do not possess. You, therefore, are in a better position to guess who this monkey is. You say you are scared. So am I. Perhaps it is an ogre that has changed its form. Unable to get any useful information from Sita, the ogresses rushed to Ravana's presence to report what was happening and said, "Lord, a monkey of mountainous proportions and endowed with great strength has entered the Ashokavana. After holding an extended conversation with Sita, this monkey has destroyed large sections of the wonderful grove you have created. We tried to find out from Sita the identity of this monkey, but she refuses to tell us anything. Perhaps this creature is a celestial being, sent as an emissary by Indra or Kubera, or even a spy of Rama." As Ravana heard this incredible story, he was at first filled with amazement. However, as he started hearing a graphic description of the extensive damage caused to his precious grove, he flew into a rage and immediately ordered a huge group of kinkaras to go to the scene of devastation and forthwith capture the audacious as well as most menacing monkey. Delighted with the task assigned to them, the kinkaras, numbering about 80,000, armed themselves with iron mallets and clubs and rushed to the Ashokavana. Encircling Hanuman, they tried to attack him, which precisely was what Hanuman wanted. Invoking the names of Rama and Sugriva, Hanuman seized a huge iron bar lying in the arch that formed the entrance to the grove, let out a mighty roar that struck terror, and took the kinkaras head-on despite their vast numbers. Swiftly and with clinical thoroughness, he decimated the entire kinkara army, even as a large number of Rakshasas watched in horror and amazement from a safe distance. The latter could not believe what they had witnessed. But when the message got home, they rushed to Ravana, reporting in vivid detail what they had seen. Ravana was stunned by what he heard. 80,000 kinkaras wiped out in a few brief moments by one single monkey? Nonsense. Utterly impossible. And yet, the impossible did seem to be true, calling for immediate and urgent action. For some moments, Ravana was lost in thought, carefully evaluating various options. It was then that his eyes fell on Jambumali, the son of Prahasta, unmatched in strength and prowess. Forthwith, Ravana commanded him to rush to Ashokavana, take charge and somehow capture Hanuman. Meanwhile, taking a break while waiting for the next move from Ravana, Hanuman began to reflect. Well, I certainly have managed to destroy much of this heavenly grove, attracting thereby Ravana's attention. I have also followed it up by disposing of all those sent by him. That surely must have been a severe and totally unexpected blow to that monster. By now, he ought to be hopping mad and is sure to intensify his attack on me. In the meantime, I see over there at the entrance to this grove a grand edifice that appears to house the guardian ogre of this place. That grand structure does not deserve to exist, and so let me take care of it right away. Hanuman then promptly demolished it to the accompaniment of boastful statements meant to dramatize his wanton destruction. Officials guarding the grove, most of whom were till then just mute spectators, decided that they must put up at least a token resistance, since royal property was being destroyed with impunity. Accordingly, they launched an attack against Hanuman, who disposed them off with effortless ease. He then tore out a huge pillar from one among the many that formed the ceremonial entrance, and rubbing it against other pillars, generated a spark, using which he transformed the pillar he was holding into a flaming torch. Using the improvised torch, he burned down what was left of the beautiful edifice at the entrance. Triumphantly surveying the extensive havoc he had created in such a short time, Hanuman then wrote to all who were within hearing distance, "This is but a taste of things to come. Soon, thousands of Vanaras like me would invade Lanka, and under the leadership of brave Sugriva, the king of Kishkinda. When that happens, Lanka would not survive. Everything would be destroyed, the city as well as all its citizens. Of course, Ravana too would perish, meeting his end at the hands of Lord Sri Rama." Even as Hanuman was busy wreaking havoc, Jambumali, who had been dispatched by Ravana to apprehend Hanuman, rushed to Ashokavana, absolutely confident that Hanuman was no match for him and that he could take care of the monkey with great ease. However, things did not work out that way. No doubt, Jambumali gave Hanuman a tough fight, but in the end, he too dropped dead, crashing to the ground like a giant tree that had been felled. One more shattering and stunning blow to Ravana, who was utterly paralyzed by the thought that a solitary monkey could make short work of so many of his brave warriors. Deeply frustrated, he had no option except to send more fighters, this time the 7 sons of his principal minister. Like those who went before them, these 7 young men set out full of vanity, wearing expensive jewels and riding in fancy chariots. However, their arrogance was short-lived, for they too fell before the might of Hanuman. The news of a lone monkey that had seemingly come from nowhere and was single-handedly decimating hundreds of brave Rakshasa warriors spread like wildfire throughout Lanka, creating great panic amongst all its residents. For his part, when Ravana learned that the 7 sons of his chief minister had also been decimated by that mysterious monkey, he raged in impotent fury, wondering what he should do next. Utterly desperate, Ravana then sent for his 5 leading generals and said, "I don't know what you will do, but you have got to come up with a really effective strategy for capturing this vicious monkey. In fact, I don't think this animal is a monkey. Rather, I suspect it is a being created specially by Indra. Whatever it is, you should not, under any circumstance, underestimate this monkey. I can tell you that I have personally seen very powerful monkeys named Vali and Sugriva. That tribe is called Vanaras, and Vali and Sugriva have a huge army of such powerful Vanaras. Maybe our adversary is actually a Vanara. I advise you not to approach this unknown creature as a mere monkey, but rather as a most powerful agent sent by some bitter enemy. It is therefore extremely important that this agent is captured so that we can learn more. Go forth immediately and do the needful." Bowing to Ravana, the 5 senior generals then went to Ashokavana, taking with them a big army to confront Hanuman and capture him. However, like all others who were sent earlier, they too were annihilated. Disposing of the generals first, Hanuman then attacked the army, killing many and driving the survivors helter-skelter. Pleased with himself, he then just stood by, waiting for the next batch of Rakshasa warriors. Literally at his wit's end, Ravana was left wondering what he should do next, which was when his son Prince Aksa came forward and stood silently before his mighty father. The latter looked silently at his son, who was pugnacious by nature and quite capable of giving a good fight to any adversary. Ravana did not say a single word. Instead, he gave just a barely perceptible nod, which was enough for Aksa. Climbing into his chariot, acquired through penance and thus well protected, Aksa went forth, determined to succeed, where all others earlier had failed. When Hanuman first saw Aksa, he was amused and wondered, what does Ravana mean by sending a mere boy? However, when Hanuman learned that this was actually the son of Ravana, he realized that if Ravana was sending his own son to fight with him, it meant that the ruler of Lanka was getting quite desperate. For his part, Prince Aksa was no pushover, and the fight between Aksa and Hanuman was fierce and protracted. At one point, Hanuman was not quite sure how exactly he should deal with this valiant warrior. One side of him said that the prince was such an accomplished fighter, it was not good to kill him at such a young age. He deserved better. At the same time, Hanuman also felt that if he became soft, the young prince might get the better of him, which would be detrimental to his mission. After a brief reflection, Hanuman decided that the best option was to contain a spreading fire, following which Aksa was disposed of quickly. The news of Prince Aksa's death truly struck terror in Ravana's heart, for this was an outcome he had never expected. It was a desperate situation that called for a drastic response, and the only strategy Ravana could now think of was to command his invincible son Indrajit to personally deal with what was rapidly becoming an unmanageable problem. Speaking in a grave tone, Ravana said, "Son, few are equal to you in courage, valor and skill. Not only are you a master in the use of the most potent astras, but equally pertinent is the fact that there is hardly anyone in all the three worlds who can get the better of you. Indrajit, you know all about what has happened thus far, including how the various people sent to capture or kill this dangerous and mysterious monkey have perished. Obviously, you have to avoid the mistakes they all have made. Frankly, I never wanted to involve you in this matter. However, the way the situation has developed, I now have little choice. Go forth with my blessings and come back victorious." Arming himself appropriately, Indrajit quickly made his way to the scene of chaos and destruction. The moment Hanuman spotted his new adversary, he instantly pounced on him. A fierce and extraordinary battle ensued, in the course of which Indrajit realized that his adversary was incapable of being slain, which meant that the only option available was to devise some means of capturing the enemy, which Indrajit quickly achieved by deploying Brahmastra, equipped with the incredible potency derived from Brahma, the creator himself. Yielding to the Brahmastra, the seemingly invincible Hanuman finally fell to the ground. If Indrajit could invoke the power of Brahma, Hanuman too enjoyed some protection granted by that same Brahma. Thus, while Hanuman was no doubt incapacitated, the missile fired at him did not cause any physical pain, which it normally would have. However, this fact was not known to Indrajit. The moment Hanuman saw Brahmastra coming towards him, he voluntarily submitted to it out of sheer respect for the Creator, allowing the astra to bind and tie him down. As Hanuman lay on the ground, held by the power of Brahmastra, there was great rejoicing and wild cheering in the Rakshasa camp, with some Rakshasas promptly coming forward with big ropes to bind Hanuman tightly and secure him. Hanuman readily submitted to this indignity. At the same time, he was quietly smiling to himself, because these augurs little knew that the moment a person held by Brahmastra is secured by worldly ropes, the potency of the missile gets withdrawn. In other words, if he so wanted, Hanuman could have easily cut loose from the ropes and resumed the fight. However, Hanuman had other ideas. He reasoned that as a captive there was a good chance he would be produced before Ravana, which then would give him an opportunity to size up the villain in person. Precisely as he had anticipated, Hanuman was dragged to Ravana's presence, beaten and insulted by his captors all the way, even as bystanders cheered the Rakshasas and jeered at the Vanara. Eventually, Hanuman was produced before the king of Lanka, and at long last, Ravana and Hanuman came face to face. For a while, the two keenly studied each other, even as the augurs in the assembly rejoiced noisily. While some were wondering who this monkey was, others cried with frenzy, "Death to this wicked monkey, let him be roasted alive," and so on. Breaking his silence, Ravana commanded his principal counselors to question the prisoner, which led one of them to ask, "Who are you? Who sent you? And for what purpose?" Hanuman took a good look at his questioner. Instead of responding to him, Maruti turned towards Ravana and said, "I am a messenger sent by my Lord Sugriva." Even as he offered his terse response, Hanuman gazed at Ravana with part amazement and part revulsion. Shaking his head, he said to himself, "He may be a Rakshasa, but he unquestionably has a radiance of his own. Wicked he might be in many respects, but clearly he is not bereft of merit. If only he had remained on the path of virtue, he would have become the protector of not only all the three worlds but also of Indra himself. It's a great pity that though blessed with such enormous power and capability, this ogre has shaped himself as the very embodiment of demonic cruelty." While Hanuman was having his own thoughts about Ravana, the latter too was wondering about Hanuman. Is it Nandi, the attendant of Lord Shiva, who once cursed me when I intruded into Kailas, that has come here assuming the form of a monkey? Or is it Bana, the celebrated demon and son of Bali, disguised as an animal? Anyway, let me find out more. Turning to Prahasta, one of his senior ministers, he said testily, "Find out who this creature is, and what was his idea in destroying the beautiful grove that I had painstakingly created." Bowing to Ravana, Prahasta asked Hanuman, "O monkey, have no fear and speak truthfully. Who has sent you? Is it Indra by any chance? Or are you an agent of Yama, the Lord of Death? Perhaps you want to spy for Varuna. Or maybe it was Vishnu who wanted to know something about Lanka and Ravana. Whatever it is, if you tell us the truth, you would not only remain unharmed but also be freed. On the other hand, if you dare to hoodwink us by telling lies, you will not survive. Once again we ask you, who sent you and why?" Hanuman listened carefully and, as earlier, directed his reply to Ravana rather than his questioner. Choosing his words with great deliberation, Hanuman said, "Neither Indra nor Bana, or for that matter any of the others mentioned, have sent me. I am a monkey by birth, and I came here to have a glimpse of Ravana, the king of Rakshasas. That was when I was attacked, and if I caused hurt to those who assaulted me, it was in self-defense. Thanks to a boon conferred on me by Brahma, not even the gods and the demons can bind me. If the Brahmastra appeared to have subdued me, it is entirely because I submitted to it voluntarily, so that I would be brought here and thus get an opportunity to see you. I was keen on having a face-to-face encounter because I have a message for you from Lord Sri Rama. You can thus say I am an envoy of the invincible and infinitely powerful Rama, and it would be in your best interest to listen carefully to the message I have been asked to deliver to you personally." Hanuman continued, "Let me first start with a message from Sugriva, the king of Kishkinda, who is none other than the brother of Vali, already known to you. When Rama, who was in search of his lost consort Sita, met Sugriva, the latter agreed to help Rama locate Sita in return for eliminating Vali. Rama killed Vali with effortless ease, which then allowed Sugriva to come out of self-imposed exile and become the ruler of Kishkinda. As an expression of gratitude to Rama for the help given, Sugriva then sent huge teams in all directions to search for Sita, whom you have abducted. I belong to one of those search teams, and when we were alerted that you were keeping Sita in captivity here on this island, I jumped across the ocean in one mighty leap, landing here. And it was while I was searching all over Lanka that I found Sita in Ashokavana. O mighty king, you have forcibly taken away another man's wife. Wise men do not engage in actions that go against the canons of Dharma, for they know well that adharma destroys the perpetrator of evil actions root and branch. There is none in the three worlds who can enjoy happiness having committed an offense against Rama. Therefore, take my advice and release Janaki immediately. Through intense penance, you have accumulated unmatched wealth, power, might and merit. Why do you want to fritter away all that fortune by a thoughtless and sinful act? No doubt, you have a boon that protects you against many species. However, you should remember at the same time that your boon does not grant you immunity from humans. And keep in mind the fact that Rama is a human. And don't also forget what happened in Janasthana, as also the fact that Vali, who made you look small, was killed by Rama. Actually, it does not require Rama to destroy Lanka. I can do it myself. However, I shall not do so because Rama has vowed to wipe out Lanka and also kill you. Finally, be informed that Rama is truly invincible and there is none in the three worlds, including you, who can get the better of him in battle. I have delivered my message and it is now up to you to decide what you are going to do. Your response will determine your destiny. This kind of tough talking was not what Rama expected from a monkey that had been taken captive, bound and brought to the presence of one who sent shudders through the bravest everywhere. No wonder Ravana flew into a rage and ordered that Hanuman be put to death forthwith. Understandably, Ravana's pronouncement of death sentence met with a huge roar of approval from the huge gathering present, because almost everyone was utterly shocked by what to them seemed to be a most disrespectful and atrociously audacious sermon delivered by a mere monkey. There was, however, a sole dissenter, and that was Ravana's younger brother Vibhishana. Rising to catch Ravana's attention, Vibhishana said in a soft and respectful voice, "O mighty ruler, forgive me please, but allow me to bring to your kind notice an important canon of justice that all rulers are bound by. Dear brother, you have mastered the scriptures and must therefore consider carefully the nature of punishment meted out to a messenger." Already enraged at being lectured to by a monkey, Ravana was now further infuriated by Vibhishana daring to suggest that his order was inappropriate and in violation of justice. Livid with rage that showed itself via his flaming eyes, the Demon King roared, "I know exactly what is to be done and do not need advice from anybody. This monkey deserves nothing short of death, and that is the punishment that shall be administered without any further delay." I shall stop at that point today and continue from there next time. Meanwhile, I thank you for being with me, and I do hope you are feeling uplifted by this series. As always, I offer this talk to our beloved Swami. God bless and Jai Sai Ram.